You pick up your keys from the table, not quickly, just the way you do every morning. And before you even stand up, your dog is already trembling, ears flat against their head, tail tucked low, eyes locked on your every move, following your hands like they're reading a script they've memorized. You haven't touched the door. You haven't put on your shoes. You haven't said a single word, but somewhere inside their brain, in circuits older than language, older than domestication itself, the separation has already begun. Most people see this and think the same thing. He knows I'm about to leave for work. And that's partly true. Your dog has absolutely learned the pattern. But here's what most people never think to ask. The question isn't what they know. It's what they feel. And more importantly, when that feeling starts. Because by the time you notice the trembling, the neurochemical cascade is already well underway. In 2010, a team led by Palestrini fitted 30 dogs with portable heart rate monitors and set up cameras to record the entire departure sequence. From the moment the owner began getting ready to the moment the door closed. What they found was striking. Heart rate didn't spike when the owner walked out of the house. It started climbing 30 to 60 seconds before the owner even touched the door handle. The body was responding to something that hadn't happened yet. The arousal began at the cue, not at the departure. Think about what your own morning looks like from your dog's perspective. You put on shoes you only wear when you leave. You grab a bag that never comes out on weekends. You check your phone. You reach for the keys. To you, these are just steps in getting out the door. Barely conscious actions you've done 1,000 times. But to your dog, each one is a signal, a warning, a countdown. They're not reacting to your absence. They're reacting to the ritual of leaving, and they've been studying that ritual far more carefully than you realize. And here's why that matters. Schwartz, in 2003, laid out the mechanism behind this, and it's one of the most well-established principles in all of behavioral science. Classical conditioning. The same process Pavlov discovered over a century ago with his bell and his dogs. Ring a bell before feeding, repeat enough times. And the bell alone triggers salivation. Except in this case, the bell is the sound of your keys, the bag zipping shut, the particular way you walk when you're in a hurry. And instead of saliva, the conditioned response is cortisol, the stress hormone. Every single morning, without knowing it, you are running a fear training session. The routine never changes. And the dog's brain learns this exact sequence means you're about to disappear. After hundreds of repetitions, months, sometimes years of the exact same morning pattern, the dog's brain encodes a predictive chain. Shoes, keys, bag, door opens, owner gone. Each link in the chain triggers the next automatically. And here's the critical part. The entire sequence fires before the door ever opens. The brain doesn't wait for confirmation. It predicts. By the time you're reaching for your jacket, your dog's nervous system is already 3 steps ahead, flooding with cortisol and preparing for a separation that hasn't happened yet. But here's a question worth asking. Why is the reaction so extreme? We're not talking about mild unease. We're talking about trembling. Barking that doesn't stop. Scratching at the door until their paws bleed. Sometimes, full-blown panic, all from the sound of keys jingling in the hallway. A sound. That's all it takes. Why? The answer lies in some of the oldest wiring in the mammalian brain. Jacques Panksepp spent decades mapping what he called the primary emotional systems, the deep neural circuits that drive behavior in all mammals. In 2011, he described what he called the panic, grief system. Not panic in the everyday sense. A specific neural circuit, ancient, powerful, and shared across species, that activates whenever a mammal is separated from its primary attachment figure. And here's what makes this so important. The circuit fires the same way in rat pups separated from their mother, in dogs separated from their owner, and in human infants separated from a caregiver. The circuit doesn't care about species. It cares about the bond. And the panic circuit doesn't operate like a dimmer switch that gradually increases intensity. It operates like a cascade. There's a threshold, a tipping point. And once the activation crosses that line, the entire system collapses like a row of dominoes. Cortisol floods the bloodstream. Adrenaline surges. Vocalization kicks in, barking, whining, howling. Pacing begins. then scratching, then destruction. Your dog doesn't choose to panic. That's a critical distinction. The brain crosses a neurochemical line, and survival mode takes over automatically. There is no decision-making happening. There is only the ancient circuit doing exactly what it was built to do, signal distress when the bond is broken. But here's the part that changes everything. The panic circuit can be blocked. Not after it fires, by then. The cascade is already running, and you're fighting neurochemistry. Not during the cascade, by then. Your dog is beyond rational processing. Before, if you intervene before the threshold is crossed, the entire chain never starts. The dominoes never fall. And the dog stays in a completely different neurochemical state. Panksepp's research revealed something remarkable about how these emotional circuits interact. The brain doesn't just have a panic system. It has a seeking system, the circuit responsible for curiosity, exploration, anticipation, and engagement with the world. And these two systems are reciprocal inhibitors. That means when one is strongly active, the other is physiologically suppressed. Think of it as a neurological seesaw. When seeking goes up, panic goes down. When panic dominates, seeking shuts off. They cannot both run at full power simultaneously. This reciprocal relationship is the entire scientific foundation for the 30-second intervention. If you can activate the seeking circuit before the panic circuit crosses its threshold, something extraordinary happens inside your dog's brain. The neural landscape shifts. Instead of, my owner is about to disappear, which is panic territory, the brain moves to, there's something interesting happening right now, which is seeking territory. Same brain, same neurons, same dog standing in the same hallway, but two completely different neurochemical states, two completely different experiences. The question becomes practical. How do you flip that switch before the wrong circuit takes over? But the seeking circuit doesn't activate on its own. It needs fuel. It needs a trigger. Something that engages the brain's curiosity and reward systems powerfully enough to override the building anxiety. So what activates it most powerfully? Protopopova and colleagues tested this directly in 2014. They divided dogs into groups and measured cortisol levels before, during, and after owner departures. One group received pre-departure enrichment, food-stuffed Kongs, puzzle feeders, scatter feeding on the floor, delivered just before the owner's departure routine began. The control group received nothing. The results were unambiguous. Dogs who received enrichment before departure showed significantly lower cortisol levels. And the researchers noted something important. The effect wasn't about distraction. The dogs weren't simply too busy eating to notice the owner leaving. The enrichment was activating a completely different brain circuit. It was redirecting the neurochemistry. Here's the mechanism. Food hidden inside a puzzle toy triggers dopamine release in the brain. Dopamine is the primary neurochemical fuel of the seeking circuit, the molecule that drives exploration, problem-solving, and anticipation. When a dog is working to extract food from a Kong or puzzle feeder, the brain shifts its processing from tracking the owner's location to solving the problem directly in front of it. It's not about distraction. It's about neurochemical redirection. The brain physically moves from one circuit to another. But timing is everything. The enrichment has to arrive before the departure cue chain completes. If panic has already crossed the threshold, no amount of food will override it. Too late. And the cascade has already begun. Too early. And the enrichment itself becomes just another departure cue. But enrichment is only half the equation. The other half has nothing to do with your dog's brain. It has everything to do with yours, and specifically, with how you behave in the final moments before you walk out the door. In 2011, Rain and Keeling ran a study that most dog owners have never heard of, but it might be one of the most practically useful pieces of research in canine behavioral science. They compared two groups of dog owners. In the first group, owners said dramatic goodbyes. They knelt down, hugged their dog, used a high-pitched voice, said things like, "Mommy will miss you so much. Be a good boy. I'll be back soon." In the second group, owners simply stood up and walked out. No fanfare, no farewell, no special voice. The results surprised even the researchers. Dogs in the low-key departure group were significantly calmer, not just at the moment of departure, but hours later, when the owner finally came home. The departure style didn't just affect the goodbye. It affected the entire experience of being alone. Why would a loving goodbye make things worse? It seems counterintuitive. But the mechanism is straightforward once you understand conditioning. An emotional farewell is one more cue, and an extremely powerful one, added to the conditioned stimulus chain. Your high-pitched voice, the change in your posture as you kneel down, the tight hug, the way your breathing shifts. To your dog's nervous system, these signals don't translate as, "I love you and I'll be back." They translate as something emotionally significant is about to happen. And in the context of departure, emotionally significant means one thing: you're about to disappear. You think you're comforting them. In reality, you're amplifying the signal that abandonment is coming. It's not about the words. Dogs don't process reassuring language the way we do. They can't parse, "I'll be back in 8 hours." Don't worry. What they process is your arousal state, your breathing rate, whether it's calm or elevated, your muscle tension, whether your body is relaxed or tight, the pitch of your voice, whether it's neutral or strained with emotion. A high-pitched, emotionally charged goodbye registers in your dog's nervous system as a clear signal: my human is distressed. And if my human is distressed, the person I trust most in the world, then something must be very wrong. The result isn't comfort. It's a cortisol spike. But there's something else you can do before you leave, something most owners have never considered. It doesn't require any equipment, no special training tools or treats, no behavioral modification certification. It lives in something as simple, une enchant, and as powerful as eye contact. In 2015, Nagasawa and colleagues at Azabu University in Japan published a finding in the journal Science that fundamentally changed how we understand the dog-human bond. When a dog and their owner look into each other's eyes, both brains release oxytocin. Not just the human's brain, both. Simultaneously. It's the exact same hormonal loop, the same molecular pathway that bonds a mother to her newborn infant during nursing and eye contact. And the researchers found that it takes as little as 30 seconds of calm, quiet, mutual gaze to trigger it. 30 seconds? That's not a metaphor. That's a measurable oxytocin release, a biochemical buffer that actively counteracts cortisol. And oxytocin doesn't just create a warm, pleasant feeling. Research suggests it has a direct physiological effect on the fear circuitry of the brain. It dampens amygdala activation, the amygdala being the brain's primary threat detection center. When oxytocin levels rise, fear reactivity drops. The baseline arousal state lowers. The threshold for panic activation rises. In practical terms, those 30 seconds of calm eye contact create a biochemical window, a brief but real period during which the panic circuit becomes physiologically harder to trigger. You're not calming your dog with words. You're changing the neurochemical conditions inside their brain with your eyes. But here's the problem that many owners face. What if the damage is already done? What if your morning routine, the shoes, the keys, the bag, the jacket, has already been encoded as a fear sequence? Hundreds of repetitions, maybe thousands, every weekday morning for years. How do you break a conditioned association that's been reinforced that many times? Butler and colleagues, in 2011, demonstrated the answer, and it's one of the most elegant solutions in behavioral science. Systematic desensitization. The protocol is almost absurdly simple. Pick up your keys, then sit back down. Don't go anywhere. Put the keys back on the table. Wait 5 minutes. Pick them up again. Sit down again. Over the course of days and weeks, the dog's brain gradually unlearns the association between keys and departure. The conditioned stimulus loses its predictive power. The cortisol response diminishes with each repetition. The keys stop being a warning. They become neutral again. Horwitz and Nielsen, in 2007, added another layer to this approach: cue randomization. The idea is simple but powerful. Put on your shoes while watching television. Grab your bag. Then walk to the kitchen and make coffee. Hold your keys while reading on the couch. Wear your work jacket on a Saturday afternoon. The principle behind it is straightforward. If the sequence of departure cues is never consistent, if shoes sometimes lead to leaving and sometimes don't, if keys sometimes mean goodbye and sometimes mean nothing, then the dog's brain cannot build a reliable predictive chain. You're scrambling the signal, making the cues unpredictable. And unpredictable cues lose their power to trigger a conditioned fear response. Together, Desensitization and randomization create what behavioral scientists call systematic decoupling. The departure cues gradually lose their predictive power. Keys stop meaning goodbye. Shoes stop meaning alone. Train. The bag stops meaning 8 hours without you. They go back to being what they actually are. Just objects. Just sounds. Just ordinary things that happen throughout the day. Attached to no particular outcome. Overall's 2013 graduated departure protocol puts all of this into a structured, step-by-step practice. You start small, 30 seconds. Walk out the door. Close it behind you. Count to 30. Come back. Then 1 minute. Come back. Then 3 minutes. Come back. The rule is non-negotiable, and it's the most important part of the entire protocol. You always return before the dog crosses the panic threshold. Always. You build tolerance from below. Brick by brick. You never push from above. You never test how long they can last. Because every time the dog crosses into panic, you're reinforcing the exact circuit you're trying to weaken. The underlying principle is called threshold management. If your dog starts showing signs of distress at the 5-minute mark, pacing, whining, moving to the door, you come back at 4. Not at 6. Not at 10. 4. Every successful trial, every departure where you return before the panic fires, is one more data point recorded in your dog's brain. Owner left. And owner came back. No panic needed. No destruction necessary. The prediction gets rewritten, one repetition at a time. It's slow. It's deliberate. And it works precisely because you're rewriting the brain's prediction rather than fighting its panic response. So here's the protocol. Distilled from everything the research tells us. 30 seconds that can change the trajectory of your dog's entire day. Step 1. Calm presence. No drama. No high-pitched voice. No emotional energy. Your body is relaxed. Your breathing is steady. Your energy is quiet and neutral. Step 2. 30 seconds of gentle eye contact. Not staring. Not intense. Just soft. Calm looking. The kind that triggers the oxytocin loop. You're building the biochemical buffer. Step 3. Place a food puzzle or enrichment item on the floor. A stuffed Kong. A snuffle mat. Scatter some kibble across the room. Let the seeking circuit activate before panic gets a chance. Step 4. Walk out. Quietly. No fanfare. No goodbye. Be a good boy. No lingering look back through the window. Just a calm, unremarkable exit. One important note. If your dog is injuring themselves, biting through metal crates, jumping from windows or balconies, breaking through glass doors, or vocalizing continuously for more than 30 minutes without stopping, this is beyond what any home protocol can address on its own. These are signs of clinical-level distress that may require professional support. A veterinary behaviorist can help assess the situation and develop a plan tailored to your dog's specific needs. This protocol is a tool, a powerful one, but it's not a cure for every level of separation distress. Let's go back to where we started. Keys on the table. Your dog, already trembling before you've even moved from the couch. But now you see it differently. Now you know something that most dog owners never learn. Those 30 seconds before you close the door, they're not for saying goodbye. They're not a chance to squeeze in one last hug or whisper one more reassurance. They're for setting the entire neurochemical landscape inside your dog's brain, the landscape that will determine what the next 8 hours feel like for them. Every morning, you stand at a fork in the road. One path dramatizes the separation, the long hugs, the guilty voice, the emotional rituals that feel loving but accidentally train fear deeper into the circuit with every repetition. The other path takes 30 seconds. Quiet eye contact. An enrichment puzzle placed calmly on the floor. A low-key, unremarkable exit. One path speaks human language, words and emotions your dog can feel but cannot understand. The other speaks the language your dog's brain was built to understand. Oxytocin, dopamine, seeking, calm. Next time, before you reach for your keys, stop. Just for 30 seconds. Sit down somewhere near your dog. Look into their eyes. Softly. Don't say a word. Let the silence do the work. Then stand up. Place the puzzle feeder on the floor. and walk out the same way you'd walk to the kitchen, like it's nothing. No drama. No hugs. No guilt. Just 30 seconds of calm. It won't fix everything overnight, but it's the beginning of a different kind of morning. For your dog, and for you,